Your favorite artist is just copying Michael Jackson. He's proof.
Have you noticed how today's biggest artists all start to seem familiar? The sound, the moves, the branding. It's like you've seen it all before. You see, the truth is, you've been listening to Michael Jackson this whole time. The music industry is filled with talented stars, but behind the spotlight, the choreography, and the studio polish, they're all performing different versions of the same man. Today, we're breaking down the 4 archetypes of Michael Jackson and how today's artists are still living in his shadow. The man rarely spoke, but when he did, the world stopped. Michael Jackson's mystery man persona was built on distance, shadows, ambiguity. You never really knew him, and that was the point.
I say a lot of people misunderstand me. It's because they don't know me.
From the black fedora and the one-word answers, Michael Jackson
Legend.
perfected the mystique. In that silence, it made the music louder. Modern artists have adopted this mask. The Weeknd's entire After Hours rollout was a masterclass in character performance. Red suit, no interviews, facial injuries, cryptic visuals. And what about her? You know what she looks like now, but she hid her face for years. Let the riffs do the talking. Frank Ocean vanished until it was time to say something that mattered. And Billie Eilish, in her early career, she wore oversized clothes to hide her physique, kept everything dark and moody, even with the whisper vocals. She turned anonymity into aesthetic, just like MJ did decades before. This isn't just minimalism. This is what's called mystery marketing, a deliberate branding choice where less visibility equals more power. And Michael Jackson wrote the rule book by creating emotional distance. This is why fans constantly passed out at his shows, or why there was instant pandemonium as soon as he made an appearance. He became a unicorn. But let's not just look at the artist, let's take a listen, because to really understand how deep the influence runs, you have to hear it. Let's compare 4 intros that create an eerie theatrical tone with just a voice, all drawing inspiration from Michael Jackson's song, Who Is It? Michael Jackson's Who Is It starts off with just his voice, a distant, almost sacred air. It builds tension without revealing its full hand. Now let's listen to the intro of The Weeknd's Every Angel Is Terrifying. That same cryptic energy, but that's dialed into a full-on sci-fi broadcast. Now Lady Gaga's Government Hooker. It's MJ's cathedral-like atmosphere gone cyberpunk, rigid, roll mystery through orchestral vocals. Now before he sang, he danced. Michael Jackson didn't just move to the beat, he was the beat. But Mike didn't invent those moves out of thin air. MJ studied the greats. James Brown gave him that fire. Fred Astaire gave him the glide. The Nicholas brothers gave him the finesse. He absorbed decades of dance history and distilled it into something that felt brand new. He turned borrowed rhythm into visual storytelling. Even the moonwalk, his most iconic move, he didn't invent it. Its roots trace back to the 1950s when Cab Calloway and later performers like Bill Bailey were seen doing a version of it known as the backslide. Street dancers like Jeffrey Daniel of Shalimar refined it in the 70s, gliding across the floor in ways that made people question gravity. But MJ, he perfected it, made it look effortless, refined every detail. And then he dropped it live on national TV in 1983. In that moment, it stopped being a dance move. It became a myth. This was the dancing machine, MJ, the kinetic lightning bolt, a master of rhythm, sharpness, and control. And now that torch has been passed. Chris Brown's footwork, he fused Michael's dangerous era with the crumpin' style from the mid-2000s. Chris Brown has even been compared and referred to as the modern-day Michael Jackson, along with Justin Bieber in his early days.
He's everyone's inspiration. Like everyone, whether you're a country artist or you're a rapper, most people look at Michael Jackson as one of their top inspirations.
But let's be honest, that's a crown that will never be touched. Now let's look at Usher. Usher is the closest to Michael's era and is probably the pioneer of the modern MJ trend. That way he does his iconic glide, It's MJ with an Atlanta twist. Now, Atlanta also gave birth to
Crazy.
another Jackson-inspired star. If Usher is Michael, then Ciara is Janet. She channels Jackson's precision with a fresh, athletic intensity, like his footwork reimagined through a modern female lens. Because Michael's music is mainly focused around R&B and disco, we can draw many comparisons, but let's look at a couple of direct influences. Thriller is arguably the greatest album of all time. Now let's listen to The Weeknd's Wake Me Up. Now this one is a more direct replica of Thriller, so much so that The Weeknd and Justice had to give writing credits to the songwriter of Thriller, Rod Temperton. It has spaced out chords, similar drum programming, and a bass line that walks with that Thriller confidence. And lastly, we have About Damn Time by Lizzo. Listen closely to the guitar riff, clean, rhythmic, and undeniably funky, a clear callback to Rock With You. Then you layer in that lead synth at the end. It walks the same line as MJ's glossy disco-era production. Both tracks don't just lean into funk, they float on it, using minimalist elements to create maximum groove. Rock With You was a slow burn love song to the dance floor, and Lizzo's track revives that mood with a modern twist. Celebratory, confident, but still grounded in that same musical DNA. Now, Mike wasn't just a performer. He was a romantic, a balladeer. The soft boy MJ was the man behind the moonwalk, sensitive, dreamy, full of yearning. And that part of him never left. We see the same sensual sensitivity in Neo, who can sing a heartache like a velvet blade. And JT rides that same sweet falsetto wave that MJ carved decades later. And Drake? Well, Drake is many different people in one, but when he's in his soft boy mood, he's channeling Mike too. He uses MJ-style vulnerable vocals and makes them colder, moodier, and more detached. Like the soft boy reimagined through a modern filter of emotional restraint and melodic rap.
He is the greatest entertainer of all time, and that's what you have to do, you know? You have to push yourself, and he pushed himself further and further. Did things that I can't even comprehend, like choreographed dancing and, you know, all instruments, like playing instruments, everything. I mean, he was just, he was the greatest.
Neo leans into it the most with his dance moves and even does the Michael vocal sound effect. But JT keeps it sweet and raspy, similar to Michael's ballads.
He really was and always will be, you know, the king of pop. To create the things that he created with his music, I mean, it's really untouchable.
Now, speaking of ballads, let's take a look at the biggest soft boy ballad of all time, Human Nature. Now, there's something about Human Nature that artists just can't seem to resist. It has to be the most sampled song of modern day history. Songs like Right Here by SWV, Chris Brown's She Ain't You. But what makes it so iconic is the sonic softness. The synth pads are airy and glassy. The guitar is delicate and tucked just behind the beat. And MJ's vocals float over everything. Now let's look at some obvious examples. Now, I promise this isn't a Weeknd video, but I'll be ignoring the elephant in the room if we didn't talk about I Feel It Coming. This song is one of the clearest examples of MJ's sonic fingerprint in modern pop. Laid-back groove, silky falsetto, and warm analog textures all echo the atmosphere of Human Nature.
I always use Michael as, first and foremost, as a vocal inspiration. And Off the Wall was definitely the one that made me feel like I could sing. I found my falsetto because of Off the Wall.
And we can go one step further and listen to Bruno Mars's Versace on the Floor. Both songs build their mood with soft, suspended synths and smooth, gliding chord progressions. The pacing is patient, the arrangement is minimal, and the vocal delivery is breathy, intimate, and precise. Sabrina Carpenter is also not safe from the Michael bug. In her song Bed Chem, she also took inspiration from Human Nature. Take a listen to this.
I don't hear it, bro.
It's not a sample or a copy, but this is what you call interpolation. Basically, when you take a piece of music, you move it around and twist it in a different way to where it's not the same, but it just kind of encompasses the same vibe of it. And she does this perfectly with Bedchem. Now, even though this next song we're about to talk about is not a ballad, it also taps into that soft boy era. I'm talking about that sweet, happy-go-lucky vibe of The Way You Make Me Feel. That crazy shuffle you hear in the rhythm section, you hear it again in The Weeknd's In the Night. And you also hear it again unexpectedly in Ed Sheeran's new song, Azizim. Now, of course, I would be a hypocrite if I didn't call myself out for this. Here's a clip of my song I released a few years ago called Biggest Fan. So you see, I'm Michael, you're Michael, we're all Michael.
Crazy.
When Michael stepped on stage in Bucharest, it wasn't a concert. It was like a praise and worship session. This was the Rockstar MJ. Loud, political, drenched in leather and surrounded by fire. He fused pop spectacle with rock aggression. Think about the guitars in Beat It, the military jackets, the snarling vocals in Dirty Diana, and the sheer theatrical violence of Scream. His message was massive, his energy was explosive, and his influence still very much alive. Let's start with Lady Gaga. Gaga took MJ's sense of spectacle and gave it teeth. Her performances are more than concerts, they're rituals. Songs like Marry Tonight and Bad Romance walk the same line as Dirty Diana. Glam, tortured and defiant.
I'm such a huge fan. I love him so much, like I knew him, but I didn't. And he was such an inspiration to me my whole life, and I really feel that the world killed him.
Now we gotta talk about the most controversial artist on this list. I think he's losing his mind right now, but we gotta talk about Kanye West.
Yeah, I sat with Michael Jackson. I met him over at Leonard Cohen's house, and I just vibed out with him. And then, I think Michael the one that put that battery in my back to do 808s. I played Good Life, and he was like, "Who's that singing right there? I like that voice." It was my voice. He gassed me up. Next thing y'all know, y'all had me in the night here. I was like, Michael Jackson told me I could sing. All y'all.
Kanye may have started in soul sample hip hop, but his evolution into genre-bending performance art mirrors MJ's rockstar ambition. Albums like Yeezus and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy didn't just blur lines between rap and rock, they exploded them. And when Kanye performs, it's not rap, it's an arena spectacle. Like MJ, he doesn't just perform, he provokes. And no matter how hard he crashes out, the world just can't seem to look away. Now let's take a listen to the MJ Rockstar sound. Mike's song Beat It was a crossover explosion. A pop song with a rock soul, gritty guitars, driving drums, and a guitar solo from Slash that cut like a knife. Now let's listen to Miley Cyrus and Dua Lipa's song Prisoner. It has that same energy, that same sense of urgency in the vocal delivery. The songs are even in the same key. Big chorus, sharp vocals, all following that MJ formula. So Michael's legacy isn't frozen in time. It's active, ongoing, embedded in the DNA of today's biggest stars. Some channel his sound and others echo his image. The mystery man, the dancing machine, the soft boy, the rock star. Honestly, these artists aren't copies. They're continuations, each one adding a new verse to the story that MJ started. So the next time you find yourself vibing to your new favorite song or really loving that new artist, ask yourself, does it feel familiar? Because you might just be listening to Michael Jackson. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think as long as we add something new, we should keep his legacy going. Now, in this video, we've talked a lot about The Weeknd, and he's gone on record to say that Michael Jackson is his biggest influence. Now,
R.I.P. Michael Jackson.